Sam Oakes, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kate. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Sam. How are you doing? This is your first live stream as a
It
guest.
is. Yeah, I'm a live stream virgin. So
Yeah.
you're popping my live stream cherry. Can I say
All
that? I'm a live
right. Sure. You already
stream.
did, so it's out there.
We're going there already.
We are. We are. So, Sam, we are here to chat about what your specialty is, and you've got a lot of experience really helping people find careers in financial planning. But we're going to be focusing on one area of that today, which is actually looking at either being a person coming into the profession that has no experience, and also the other side of it of why you should hire people with no experience, whether they're fresh out of uni or they're coming from a different career. So let's start first with the people that don't have experience. And I'm also going to say, given all of the imposter syndrome that's out there, that might even include people that have some experience, but especially when you're looking at job descriptions, that's like, you have to have 7 to 10 years of experience. I personally might lump in, people that think they don't have enough experience, but I'll let you expand on that. So what advice, I think you've got some great tips that you would give these people when they're thinking about finding a job and coming into the financial planning profession?
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head, really. There's multiple people at that stage, really, who are thinking about getting either into financial planning or becoming a financial planner. So that sort of counts for people, doesn't it, who are in the profession already, who could be administrators, power planners, they could be working in the back office function, and they haven't got that sort of courage, I suppose, perhaps, or idea to push forward into the role of financial planner. So yeah, you're absolutely right there. So some of the tips that I give. So what I'm going to do at the moment is I'm going to sort of look at somebody who is wanting to become a financial planner. So the role of a financial planner, and they don't have any experience. So one of my first tips would be research. You absolutely need to research the profession before you get into it to decide whether or not it is the career for you, that it's the job for you. So get yourself on Google, get yourself researching what a financial planner is. What do they do? What purpose do they have in society? What issues are they solving? What does a client look like? What does a client expect from a financial planner? And really get your head around the role of a financial planner and do some research into exactly what it actually is. Now,
well, Sam, could that be a bit exhausting though? Because that definition, especially when we're talking, heck, we can be talking about any individual country, say nothing of around the world, but whether you're going to work in a big firm, in a boutique firm, somewhere that's focused more on product or more on advice, you can go down an absolute rabbit hole and realize there isn't yet one true definition of what being a financial planner is.
No, there isn't. And that's the problem. It's tricky. I get so many people that come to me and sort of ask me for advice, obviously, about getting into the profession and what's the best route to get into it and who should I work for? Should I go to back in the day, you would send someone to a bank, for example, and just do their training through a bank, and it was a lot easier. But it is really, really difficult right now. And I feel quite sorry for some of the people that are trying to get into the profession, because you're kind of going up against a bit of a brick wall, really, because the profession itself, especially in the UK, hasn't really lent itself to new blood. In the past, it hasn't sort of created content or had really clear routes into becoming a financial planner. And I really put that down also to the fact that it's only recently become a profession. Prior to RDR, it was just, there was loads of financial advisors. It was a product pushing sales role. And there were some people doing true financial planning, but it's only recently, since, post RDR, that it's really a true profession. So if you look at the accountancy
and for the people that don't know what RDR is, so like we didn't have that in the US, and I honestly can't imagine us ever having that. That's the retail distribution review that basically banned commissions. And so everything really turned to an actual fee for service. And so that's what you're saying. Once you ban that, then you're really evolving into a profession. But for example, I really don't see that ever happening in the US.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's I didn't realize it. I forgot you're going out to the world, aren't you? The US market as well. So so doing your research, Well, yeah, you need to kind of like, so speak someone, put yourself out to someone like a recruitment consultant like myself. It can give you a really good understanding of what the market actually looks like. Because you're right, there are what you've got in the UK, for instance. I'm talking from a UK perspective here at the moment. I don't know what it's like in the States. Correct me if I'm wrong, but what you've got is a majority of very small to medium enterprises in the UK, and they don't really have that kind of manpower, if you like, or structure or process in place to bring on trainees. So you kind of need to go out and you need to speak to as many people as you possibly can within the profession. So one of the big things when I say do your research, like, so say for example, someone wants to become a financial advisor. So I always say to them, look, what you want to look at is your geographical location. So take a look at your geographical location. Where do you live and where do you want to work? And I always say, just look, make a list of the financial planning firms or financial advice firms within that area. So you can do that via a simple Google search, can't you? There's not going to be an abundance of them. We're in a shortage. So just put a list together, find a list of financial planning firms within your geographical location of where you'd like to commute to, and then start looking at their websites and familiarizing yourselves with those companies and what they do and the language they're using, and maybe look at some of their blogs and take a look at some of the key players within those businesses, and then take yourself onto LinkedIn, and start on that list. If it's an Excel spreadsheet, for example, build that list up, take a look at the website and start cross-referencing it to the people that actually work within those firms. So start building a list of those people that are in those firms and then start reaching out to them. So start building a first connection with them on LinkedIn. And you might drop them a little message and say, look, I'm really interested in becoming a financial planner. Is there any chance that I could ask you some questions? I'm really keen to get into the profession, and start to build those relationships through LinkedIn and be, and reach out to them. And that's one of my second tips, really. It's about being proactive. I think in a profession in the UK where there isn't a clear route into becoming an advisor, I know there are some firms that have got academies now, but they're few and far between. My second tip is to be proactive. So if you are sort of wanting to be a financial planner, one of the key characteristics of a good financial planner is to be proactive and be a business developer, and to go out and network and build relationships, and doing the sort of process of sort of mapping your market, going onto LinkedIn, connecting with financial planners or power planners or really anybody within the business, and just reaching out and just saying, look, is there any chance I could give you a call just to find out a little bit more about your business, or start following them, seeing what kind of content they're putting out, and start commenting on it and picking up on keywords, etc., chucking it back into Google and doing your research around things. So about being proactive on that front, really, and putting yourself out there and speaking to those companies within your area. Because one thing I do know for sure is that a lot of these firms like that proactive approach, but 99% of people don't do it. They won't pick up, they won't send an email, they won't send a message, they won't make a connection request because they feel that they're not worthy to do that.
Which gets to the imposter syndrome.
It's the imposter syndrome, exactly.
So it'd be the same thing, even if you're in the profession and you're just looking to move firms. I would imagine you would have the same advice. Research who you want to talk to, begin to reach out, get out there. But I would also add to that to have specific questions in mind. So reaching out and doing the, can I pick your brain? That is sort of a maddening thing. And, I get those requests sometimes every single day, and you can't do it. So if you reach out and you have very specific questions, I have some of my best friends in the profession that I actually met through doing that. They reached out to me and they had specific questions, and we've known 100%. Each other for years. So that can be a great way to do it. But if you reach out and just say, hey, can I pick your brain? I would not personally suggest that as a strategy.
No, again, that goes back to the research, doesn't it? So do your research and start to learn exactly what a financial planner does, what they do, and all that kind of stuff, and start to familiarize yourself with the language, the tools that they use, etc., and get a bit of an understanding. Like, I put out a bit of content via my Recruit UK site, which is like salary guides and what it's like, how to become a power planner, how to become a financial planner, the route to doing so. So there is content out there that you can do that's base level. So at least when you sort of introduce yourself, you've got a reason to introduce yourself. I would kind of almost be inclined to say that don't reach out until you've got a reason to reach out. So when you've built up that list of companies and you've built up a list of contacts, you've got a contact list there, you've got a list of names. Once you've done that, you really want to kind of build a bit of a strategy around how to market yourself. So you might send a little message to them, but you might send an email to them as well. And within that email might be a sort of cover note, sort of saying, look, hear a little bit about myself, why I want to become a financial planner, what I've learned about your company from looking on your website, or the blog post that I read about the MD, or the podcast that I listened to. And by the way, I've just passed my RO1 exam, one of my exams, and I really want to be a financial planner because there's a skill shortage out there. And I love the fact that it's helping people. It's not just selling products. It's about dealing with people's worries and concerns and improving their life. It's like a well-being proposition. So it's about selling yourself to those companies. There's a reason as to them to want to come back to you and actually engage with you. So you've got to be careful, because that first approach you make can put somebody off. And there's very few companies out there. So you don't want to kind of burn your bridges before you've actually even managed to sit down and have an interview with somebody. So that's kind of a little bit of an area there that I would look at. But another bit of advice would be to get some qualifications, I think, as well. I think if you're coming outside of the profession and you're looking to come into the profession to be a financial planner, you need to really make sure that you have started the process of qualifications, not just, I want to be a financial advisor, can you employ me? Because a lot of firms don't really, they just, they don't see any kind of commitment from that individual towards their study. So, that absolutely bodes well. So if I have 5 people come up to me, and I 2 that have got level 4 qualification, and they say, Sam, can you help me find a job? It's a lot easier for me, say, for example, as a recruitment consultant, to market that individual out if they hold some or all of the qualifications. Now, it's even easier as well if they come from a profession or some background where they've got transferable soft skills that complement the financial planning profession as well. And that's another area as well. It's like, if somebody is coming from another profession where perhaps they're sitting down, like they're marketing experts or something, so they're used to doing consultations with clients and sort of needs-based analysis and all of that kind of stuff. And then they're used to presenting and talking about facts and figures and return on investment, if you like, from a marketing perspective. They've got those transferable skills, but again, they need to be able to bring that to the attention of the employer that is looking to potentially bring them in for that interview. So again, that might then go in their initial pitch, if you like, in their email that goes across, or their message that goes across. And also their telephone call. If you've got a list of people and you want to sort of reach out and find out about job opportunities in the area, don't be afraid to pick up the telephone as well to sort of sell yourself in there. Again, it's very difficult. Whenever I get someone phone me up directly and ask me about my company and can I come and work for you, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to bring them in, because I like the balls. I like somebody comes at me and actually talks to me. So being proactive, doing your research, getting some qualifications prior to going out into the profession, and being proactive are some of the 3 sort of key tips. And, I've got some great examples. There's a guy that I'm representing at the moment, marketing background. I think he's got 2 job offers at the moment, without any experience of working in the profession, but he's found it tough. I've got this young lad who contacted me last week, and I said, look, I can't place you because no one's going to pay me a fee because you don't have any experience, but here's some real simple advice. And he took on my advice, and 5 days later, he texted me and said, Sam, your advice worked. I had 2 interviews and I got a job offer. And that was within 5 days. He's got no experience. So these guys that are going out and being proactive are getting jobs. It's just that, when you search online for financial planning roles in the UK, it never says looking for somebody with no experience.
No,
it's always saying it's always saying I want somebody with experience. And it's until that initial kind of conversation is had and the hiring firm can see the value of that individual, what potential transferable skills they have, or their desires, their intelligence, their academia, whatever it might well be, that's when the real true magic starts and the relationship starts to happen. And someone thinks, well, actually, you could be a financial advisor, and they look past the qualifications and experience.
Yeah, so let's chat about that a bit, because that's the other big thing is, why should firms hire people without experience? And I've had that conversation with a lot of people where you put out and you're like I said, you need 5 to 7 or 7 to 10 years of experience. And one thing I'd say, and this is not at all specific to financial planning, this goes across every industry in the world. And this might be a harsh thing to say, but I found it to be true in a number of instances. Just because you actually have years of experience doesn't make you competent, and also doesn't make you a good fit for every firm. So I've always found that to be a dangerous bit of criteria, to just say, oh, you held a role for 7 years. That doesn't actually mean that you excel in that position or that you're going to fit well somewhere else.
No, absolutely. And many a bad hire has been off the back of somebody who's got experience on their CV. For that very reason, sometimes some people can be a bit long in the tooth, difficult. I think someone just put a message into the live chat bit there as well about about bad habits, and it's like teaching an old dog new tricks, isn't it? It's a lot easier if you bring somebody in sometimes from a different profession, from a completely different perspective, and you can mold them and train them and develop them to the new ways. It's a lot harder to teach somebody who's been in the profession for some time to change their ways. Now, without being ageist, we do have quite an aging financial advisor population in the UK, and some of the marketing tactics, if you like, of today of how to generate clients aren't really something that they really want to do. And whereas when you're bringing people in that are fresh out of university, or perhaps come from a profession where marketing and social marketing and all of that is prevalent, where it's not been so prevalent in the financial advice UK market, they're bringing a fresh perspective, aren't they, into it? Yep. And it's a lot easier to then just go, right, well, you've got your skill set that we haven't got in our business. Come on board and I'll teach you how to be a financial planner. As long as you get your qualifications off the ground and all of that kind of stuff. But I do think sometimes as well, people have to be a bit realistic as well. I think it's another kind of tip really, is to be realistic. If you are coming into the profession, I mean, this is a serious profession. You do hear people passing their qualifications in like 6 months and stuff, and fair play to them. But again, that doesn't make you a financial advisor just because you've got qualifications. There is skill sets, soft skills to be learned. You have to do the role. And I think somebody, say, coming straight out of university and expecting to walk into a financial planner role, I think is a bit unrealistic. Is my personal opinion. I'm not saying that someone can't do that, but I do think it's unrealistic. So I think if you're looking to become a financial planner, again, doing that research and understanding that you don't have to go two-footed into becoming a financial advisor. You can come in as an administrator or a power planner. You can work your way up. You can study whilst you're doing it to get a real feel and a real flavor for what the role actually entails. And there's lots of people I brought on my podcast, Financial Planner Life, they've gone down that route, admin, power planner, and they absolutely are so grateful that they've gone down that route because they didn't have that massive amount of pressure. But then if you're somebody who's like 40 years old, 35 years old, and you've been earning some really good money, say, for example, in another profession, you have all the skill sets required to be a good quality financial advisor. So really good soft skills, as we talked about earlier, presenting and all the rest of it. Then why can't you just step across straight into a financial planner role? You're probably a little bit further ahead than somebody who has had no experience in the work arena.
Yeah, absolutely. And are you seeing in your role people coming from other professions? And we've seen this conversation happening about, given the pandemic and the stress on teachers and the stress on nurses and the stress on all these professions that would be a fantastic fit for financial planning. Are they coming to you? Are you seeing them actually considering a transition into financial planning?
Yeah, 100%. So there's plenty more people wanting to become financial planners. So there was a big, obviously, concern of aging out for advisors in the UK and a lack of advisors coming through. Now, that's not from lack of appetite. There's plenty of people out there that do want to become financial planners. And I am seeing, you're right there, especially from a teaching background. There was a head teacher that's two teachers, actually. One was a head teacher and the other one was, I can't remember now, but a teacher, secondary school teacher. Both of them, passed their qualifications and absolutely adamant they want to become financial planners. And I think they're fantastic because from the education perspective, again, being able to present things in a very simple manner, I think, I'm not saying kids are simple, but you have to kind of create, interesting lessons to keep their attention, don't you, etc., and explain things in a way that they understand. Well, they always did have to with me. So I think teachers are a great sort of step across into financial planning without a shadow of a doubt. And obviously from the financial education perspective as well, again, trying to simplify something that's quite difficult to understand, to be able to gain a bigger, wider audience from a marketing perspective, and bringing more people into your client base. So yeah, definitely teachers, counselors as well. So people that have worked in counseling, I think they make fantastic because of the emotional connection with money. And like, some people are screwed up around money, aren't they? And I think counselors are fantastic because they've got the ability to just listen and ask active listening and really good probing questions without overstepping the mark. So I think they're absolutely fantastic. I think actually anybody that's coming from that well-being side would work so well within financial planning. It's just, I do think though that there's this perception, I think, from outside of the profession, that if you come into financial planning, that people are going to land on your lap, that you're just going to have clients to service. And don't get me wrong, there are some companies out there that have got client banks that need servicing, but they're a rarity. There's not absolutely an abundance of them. So I think sometimes if you are coming from outside of the profession and perhaps you haven't had experience of business development, sales, picking up the telephone, dirty word, isn't it, in financial advice, sales, but the ability to pick up the telephone and make a load of business development calls. I mean, there's power in that because not many people do it within financial planning. And, you in the very, very beginning, to build a client base, you need to get yourself out there and get yourself seen, don't you? Whether that's phoning up some introducers or networking events or whatever it might well be, clients through a client database. So, yeah, we are seeing lots of varied people coming from different backgrounds for sure.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And I mean, in your work with companies, do you talk with them about, hey, let's look at this job description, and I know you've got these years of experience. Can we open it up a bit broader, and how they can then evaluate those clients? Because that's the challenge, and that's why people do it. And I completely understand that. If you have your qualifications, you have the years of experience, maybe you have a small book of business you can bring, that's going to meet a lot of the criteria to make a hiring decision easier than someone with no experience. So talk with us a little bit about how companies can think through that, because you also don't want anybody and everybody applying for a job. It's exhausting to actually interview people and go through resumes and have that whole process.
It is. And I think you've got to be very clear. Another thing that I say back to people that want to become financial planner is you need to kind of be able to create a one-page business plan. So I always sort of advise clients, look, I've got somebody who's got no experience, as a financial planner, but bags of experience from the profession they were in before. When they were working as a marketing manager, they were doing marketing for some of the top companies in the UK. They've got huge connections within these businesses. They've also looked at their local network, and they've got a number of high net worth individuals that they socialize with and parts of their networking group. So I go through with these candidates, and I'm kind of going to roundabout a different way here, but I go through it with these candidates, for these candidates to put down on paper what they would do if they were setting up their own financial planning business. Where would that business come from? Because that's what they want to see a lot of the time, these companies. Yeah. So they want to see that somebody's got a business plan. So for example, if I put them in front of that client, and they've got no experience, but they're level 4 qualified with that bags of experience, it's a hell of a lot easier for me to sell on the back of those transferable skills and the fact that they have the qualification. So with these companies looking at it, I wouldn't say take everybody on. Let's be realistic. Again, these firms they've got jobs to do. Some of these guys are advisor owners, aren't they? They don't have time to, and I get it, they haven't got the time to train somebody up and spend all that money and time and energy on them, that it takes to get their qualifications and to get them through, for the person possibly to maybe get CAS status, competent advisor status, and leave and join another firm or set up on their own. So there's a big risk involved for them. Yeah. I think what current firms need to really look at the fact, right, it's like, are you wanting to grow? If you are wanting to grow, how long for? Because the acquisition model of taking on candidates with transferable assets, that's getting smaller and smaller and smaller because they're aging out of the market. So your strategy for hiring has to come from outside of the market. So you're going to need to start looking at different people from outside of the market. Stop being so blinkered. Stop looking at the same people that everybody else is. Because if I put a candidate in front of you with transferable assets in front of one client, you bet your bottom dollar is going to go to 5 or 6 other clients. So you're in a bum fight as it is. Now, if someone off their own back has got the ability to go and get their own qualifications, research and understand what financial planning what the financial planning job actually is, then also do a business plan. I mean, that's a killer candidate right there. They've got the skill set required to become a financial planner. All you need is fine tuning. That's it. They just need a bit of mentoring to get through it. So my advice to those companies is just don't dismiss somebody because they haven't got experience already within the profession. Start to delve a bit deeper and understand what skill set they got from another marketplace that would be absolutely amazing to your business. And I think there's loads of networking opportunities by taking people from other professions and putting them into financial planning. I got a guy who's he used to do consulting to top level accountancy firms. I mean, what a skill set, consultancy work for top level accountancy firms. Then he got his level 4 diploma, and now he's willing to go self-employed. That type of individual to me is just like, Yeah, you're willing to do all you can to get into the profession. And also, what I love about these guys as well is they're quite realistic, because they know that in year 1, year 2, they're not going to make an absolute fortune. And I think that's what people need to understand as well, is that you're not going to make a fortune in year 1 and year 2. It's, even if you're being a financial planner, you're not seeing anyone going in and earning an absolute load of money. It's a hard slog. So I think what can these firms do? These firms can open up take the blinkers off a little bit and start looking at the skills the individual's got, the transferable skills, and also what networks they're part of. What can they possibly bring to the table? So challenge them. You want to be a financial advisor? Why not write me a business plan? That's a really good bit of advice to anybody who's looking to open it up. But also, these firms really do have to think. Again, I feel I'm a business owner myself, right? If I take somebody who's got experience, it's less of a headache. It's less of a headache in training and developing those guys. Okay. But like you said, sometimes these guys have got old habits that are hard to break, and they actually become quite stubborn and quite annoying. Whereas like some people that come through and they're straight out of university, they're just full of bags of energy. You just send them on their way. It's fantastic. So I just say to these firms, it's just like invest also in your training and development. Next gen planners. You've got the apprenticeship scheme in the UK. The government's chucking money at firms, right? Financial planning firms to train their existing staff, but also any new staff, and they'll pay them up to £10,000 to get them through admin, power planning qualifications, financial advisor qualifications. And then it's down to you then as a firm. You don't have to be the ones training them, because you can outsource that to a trainer, and the qualifications and the training's paid for.
Wow.
So there are things that can take the burden off of you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. And a lot of what you were saying goes back to, that one of those tips on networking. And that, it sounds like, goes both ways. So if you're someone, either, again, you're looking to just change your role in the profession, or you're, coming in fresh, then getting out there and meeting those people, that in turn will also open up the thinking of the firms once they get to know you and get to see that you are proactive and talk with you about the skills you have. So that makes a really nice two-way. And you've mentioned people with marketing skills a few times, and like Stephanie said, hiring someone with no experience can provide a fresh perspective. And we need to think also not just for client-facing financial planners. If you're in that growth mode like you talked about, then getting someone with that marketing background that's interested in financial planning, they can come in and help you with that growth and bring their marketing expertise while learning about financial planning. So, as people are researching it, they might realize, they don't like to analyze investments, or they don't like to create financial plans, but they like other areas of the business, which is one of the great things. Is there's just so many different opportunities to hold different roles within the profession.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a hell of a lot of entrepreneurial, what I found as well is the younger people that are coming through are quite fearless and quite entrepreneurial. And I think, again, that sort of skill set and that sort of attitude is really useful, because it pushes you as a company also a little bit outside your comfort zone. So you might take a few more chances and like start to listen. Like, some of the guys that I've got in my office are, obviously I run a recruitment company, but 21 years old, and they're up for it. They're up for it. And it makes me up for it, because I'm thinking, Christ, I got to get on it. I've got to lead by example here. And I think younger, diversity as well. Outside of this profession, the financial planning profession in the UK, there's hardly any people of color, in the profession. Very few women. So you've got to get outside of the profession, to be able to bring those individuals in, and start to create that diversity within the profession as well. So that's what also hiring outside of the profession is beneficial and can add value to your business also.
Yeah. Awesome. And like Tracy just said, when you have no experience, zeal and passion drives you to learn faster. So like you were just saying, Sam, that energy and coming in with just, hey, I want to learn, I want to do more, I want to change things, I want to make a difference. That youthful energy, which can actually come from people of any age, in my experience. I've met people in their 70s that have more energy than I do. So yeah, it's all about that next gen mindset.
Yeah, I think the role also of a financial planner lends itself to multiple age sets. It doesn't, because everybody
Yeah.
needs financial advice at different stages of their life. And if you look at a younger person coming through and filling your business up with younger individuals, they're only going to build relationships with younger clients and be with those clients throughout their whole life, throughout their whole life cycle. I do think these firms in the UK are not so keen to hire, A, because they're quite small and they're thinking about their exit strategies because they're an older
Yep.
business owner. So they're not, why would they take somebody on that's going to cost them money when they're looking at exiting in the next couple of years? I get it. I massively get it. But there are some great firms that are out there. I think what we'll see a lot of is a lot of younger people come in and start to set their own firms up. I do believe the financial planning profession as a whole, due to marketing and running your own business, personal branding. I mean, you can make a business like huge, couldn't you? But it's just you. So I think a lot of these people coming through are going to set their own businesses up, and it's going to become a bit of a startup thing, especially in the UK. Lots of small little firms are going to be starting up, just individuals, whether they're part of networks. I doubt they go directly authorized because it's a big, big hassle. But I see all these individual brands popping up more and more and more all the time in the UK. I don't know what it's like in America, but I'm starting to see that more and more. And I think we'll start to see that and a bit of resurgence, if you like, in the whole self-employed model, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, finding people with those different expertise, because running a business yourself is incredibly hard work. It's expensive, it's time consuming, it's exhausting, it's that emotional roller coaster. So if you can find a couple of other people that are in the same position that also want to start a business, then guess what? Pool those assets, pool that intelligence, pool that time and experience and expertise. And, we can often do so much more together than we can on our own. So, Sam, thank you so much for being here. This is very cool. I love the idea of, firms just opening up their thinking and getting people that are fresh from other perspectives, other experiences, other careers. We need a lot more of that in this profession. So, any final thoughts or calls to action?
No, not really. I think I would definitely say to anybody who's considering becoming a financial planner, get stuck into it, because one thing for sure, it's definitely a very, very good profession to get into, very rewarding, and it adds a huge amount of value, both financially, but I think for your own personal well-being as well. It can be a lifestyle type job, very flexible. So I definitely would say financial planning as a whole. But yeah, if listen to the Financial Planner Life podcast. If you want to do some research, I interview financial planners every week, and they'll tell you the ins and outs of what they do, every single day, power planners and all that sort of stuff. So you get some research that way as well. And obviously, if you're considering, I can put some links out as well for salary guides and all that sort of stuff. So if you need any resources or anything, and feel free to connect with me and ask me any questions as well. I'm always happy to help people without a shadow of a doubt. And, I'm not just doing it for monetary gain. I like to do it to be able to help people. If I put out, I tend to get back anyway.
Yeah, brilliant. And I will link to all of that and your guides and everything in the show notes. So this has been amazing.
Lovely.
And to everyone that engaged throughout, Stephanie, Tracy, Jason, thank you for joining us live and for your comments. So thank you, everyone, and have a great afternoon.